Shabbat Shalom, everybody. Shabbat Shalom. Boker Tov, Mazel Tov to the family. It's nice to see you. For those of you who are members of the congregation expecting to see Rabbi Amy Memes Fowler, I am not Rabbi Amy Memes Fowler. She's out of town. She had a previous commitment. I was called in out of the bullpen. Thank you very much. And I want to thank the cantor for guiding me through the logistics here. Anyway, my name's Rabbi Address. I've been involved off and on with this congregation since about 1979, which is before most of you were born, probably. So, and a couple of things. First of all, please excuse my voice. Please blame Mr. Schwarber and Mr. Dominguez. Obviously, none of you are sports fans. But Ivan, you know. A couple of things. First of all, out of respect to the congregation and the service and our tradition, please make sure that all of your electronic devices, your phones, are either turned off or on vibrate. These are not to be used. If God wishes to speak to you, you'll know. That includes cameras, okay, during the service, so we really would appreciate it. Also, for those of you who have not used it, the prayer books in your pews, this is designed to make sure you do not fall asleep during the service. You're going to see 2 page numbers. You follow the numbers in the brackets. They're tied to the other prayer books. It's a little confusing. We do this purposely. Just keep you on your toes. Excuse me. And we're going to begin by welcoming Shabbat morning with my Yafeh Hayom. You'll find it on page 128. Page 128. And on page 287, page 287. Let's do this together as a community. This is a prayer that welcomes Shabbat together. We give thanks to you, O God, for this Shabbat day, which unites us as a community of faith and hope. For the holiness of Shabbat, which can lead us to fulfill the best that is in us, we give thanks. For the memories of Shabbat, enriched by generations of our people who observed it, and from it drew courage to face hardship and light to banish darkness, we are grateful. We offer thanks for the peace of Shabbat, the day consecrated to family love. O God, our turning to you exalts our humanity. You are the joy of life, the source of its greatness, its power, and its beauty. Help us, O God, to find inspiration for the coming week. Help us to find peace within ourselves and one another. It is a pleasure to call forward for the presentation of the Talit. The Talit presentation for a bar bat mitzvah is extremely important. The Talit is a symbol of the relationship that we have with the sacred. For many of you who've been married under a chuppah, the chuppah no doubt perhaps contained a talit. and some of our colleagues, myself included, in a wedding ceremony, sometimes wrap a bride and groom in a talit, the Sephardic custom. It is a symbol of really this relationship that in our tradition is formally established with this young lady on this morning. And so, Gary and Faith.
As I wrap myself in the talit, I fulfill the mitzvah of my Creator. Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu melech haolam, asher kidshanu b'mitzotav, b'tzivanu l'hitatev b'tzitzit. Blessed are you, Adonai our God, sovereign of the universe, who housed us with mitzvot, commanding us to wrap ourselves in the fringes.
That's a good idea. I better hug and a kiss.
Good.
May my life be one link in a chain of goodness. As I say the prayers of my ancestors, help me to recall their devotion and faithfulness, their joy and suffering, which are in every word. Holiness is my heritage, may I be worthy of it. May our tradition live in me and pass from me to generations I shall never know, enriched by the truth that I have found in the good deeds I have done. So may I fulfill my task on earth and receive my blessing. And when the service ends and the prayers have ceased, help me to bring your spirit into the world in which I live. May I love God above all and my neighbor as myself, and be a living witness to the truth that never changes.
On page 290, if you join the cantor in one of our traditional melodies to welcome Shabbat Ma Tovu, page 290. On page 293, we turn to a section of the morning service. It's traditionally called the Nisim B'chol Yom, which means the miracles of literally everyday life. These are a series of blessings you'll follow along beginning on 293 that celebrate the fact that we're here, that celebrate the fact that we got up this morning, that celebrate the fact that we have a body and we can function, and therefore the daily we celebrate, as is every service in our tradition, the miracle of all the things that happen to us, that our bodies are functioning, that there's nature, that there's a world, that there's a moment like this to celebrate with a family. These are nisim, these are miracles. So on 293, join with the cantor in the Nisim B'chol Yom. And on page 296, page 296.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher kidshanu b'mitzvotav v'tzivanu sorry, I'm like really nervous. Okay. La'asok b'divrei Torah. Blessed are you, Adonai our God, sovereign of the universe, who hallows us with mitzvot, commanding us to engage with words of Torah.
And on page 313, we ask you to rise in body or spirit for the Baruch Hu.
Baruch Hu et Adonai Hamvarach, Baruch Adonai Hamvarach leolam va'ed. Praise Adonai, to whom praise is due forever. Praised be Adonai, to whom praise is due, now and forever. The world is sunlight, restoring the soul, rejoicing the heart, bringing light to the eyes more welcome than gold. A Torah from heaven. I have no light to give the morning. My Torah, my special human gift, is words. As I bring my words forth from silence, welcome them, you who redeems the sun from darkness. Baruch atah Adonai, Yotzer Hamarot. We read responsively on page 317. O God, inspiration and guide for all, you have spoken in 1,000 tongues for us to hear. In every land and every age, your children have heard you and imagined you in separate ways. And yet, O God, you are one, unifier of humanity.
We give thanks for the sages and teachers who bring us understanding of your will. Gratefully we recall lawgivers and prophets, the psalmists and sages of Israel, and joyfully we remember that from the dawn of Israel's life, we would turn to you and find purpose.
May the teachings of our ancestors live on in our minds, and their passion for righteousness stir in our hearts. Help us to live so that our daily conduct reveals the beauty and wisdom of your truth. Baruch atah Adonai, habocher ba'amo, Yisrael ba'ahava. Shema Yisrael, Adonai Eloheinu, Adonai Echad. Baruch Shem Kavod, Malchuto Leolam Va'ed. Hear, O Israel, Adonai is our God, Adonai is one. Blessed is God's glorious majesty forever and ever. Shema Yisrael, Adonai Eloheinu, Adonai Echad. Baruch Shem Kavod, Malchuto Leolam Va'ed. Please be seated. Ve'ahavta Adonai Elohecha b'chol levavecha uv'chol nafshecha uv'chol meyodecha v'hayu hadivarim ha'ele asher anochi mitzavecha hayam al levavecha V'shinatam levanacha v'dibarta bam v'shivtacha b'veitecha uvletecha v'aderech u'shachbecha uv'kumecha u'kshartam la'ot al edecha v'hayu l'tatafot bein einecha Uchtavtam amazuzot beitecha uvisharecha Laman titzkaru v'asitem et komitzotai v'tem kadoshim Elohechem Ani Adonai Elohechem Asher hoseiti etchem Me'eretz Mitzrayim liot lachem Elohim Ani Adonai Elohechem.
And our service will continue on page 319, and we call for the honor of leading us in that prayer, Josh, Lisa, Chloe, and Jake.
Love Adonai, your God, with every heartbeat, with every breath, with every conscious act. Keep in mind the words I command you today. Teach them to your children. Talk about them at work, whether you are tired or you are rested. Let them guide the work of your hands. Keep them in the forefront of your vision. Do not leave them at the doorway of your house or outside your gate. They are reminders to do all of my mitzvot, so that you can be holy for God. I am Adonai your God. I led you out of Egypt to become your God. I am Adonai your God.
Thank you. And on page 321. Sing the song of men and women, joined in understanding and respect, the song of God's miracles, an earth protected and cherished, a gift for our children and the generations to come. The song of a land once ravished by war, now quiet and content, our soldiers home to leave no more, the song of a world redeemed, the song of peace. And we turn to page 322 and join with the cantor in the song of our liberation from the book of Exodus, the Michamocha.
Shikol
taitita
Please rise.
ufia gitahilatecha. Adonai, open up my lips that my mouth may declare your praise. Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu v'Elohei Avotenu v'Imotenu, Elohei Abraham, Elohei Yitzchak, v'Elohei Yaakov, Elohei Sarah, Elohei Rivka, Elohei Rachel, v'Elohei Leah. Ha'el Hagadol Hagibor v'Hanara, El Elyon, Gomel Hasadim Tovim, B'konei Hakol, B'zelcher Hasdei Avot v'Imachot, Umavig v'Vneihem, L'ma'an Shemo Be'ahava, Melech Hazer Moshiach Umagin, Baruch atah Adonai, Magin Avraham v'Ezrat Sarah. Atah Gibor Elam Adonai, Mechayei HaKol atah Rav Loshia, Mashiv HaRuach Umarid HaGashem, Mechokel Hayim Bechesed, Mechayei HaKol Berachabrim Rabim, Somech Noflim V'Rofei Cholim, Umatir Asurim, Kayim Emunato Lishnei Neafar, Micha Melcha Baal Gevurot, Umido Melach, Melech Memim, Chayei, Matzmiya Geshua, V'ne'eman atah l'chayot hakol, Baruch atah Adonai, Mechayei hakol.
You may be seated, please. Page 329. Those who keep the Sabbath by calling it a delight will rejoice in your realm. The people that hallow Shabbat will delight in your goodness. For being pleased with the seventh day, you hallowed it as the most precious of days, drawing our attention to the work of creation. On page 330, we call for the honor of leading us in that prayer, Stacy and Richard and Evan and Dylan.
On this Shabbat day, as you graciously receive our prayers, help us to hear your call. Grant us enough help to fulfill our duties and the compassion we need to attend to others. Teach us humility that we may perceive our own faults, and grant us the wisdom to be forgiving of others. Give us the courage to be true to our highest selves, and the charity to see best in those around us. Give us patience enough to become hope enough to overcome our fears for the future, and faith enough to know your presence. O source of blessings, look with favor on us. May our offerings be acceptable to you.
On page 332, this is a wonderful prayer. The theme of this prayer, as you'll see, is thank you. It's a prayer of gratitude. In the world in which we live, the news is frightening. Daily life can be overwhelming, and we're dealing with so many challenges here and abroad. But yet, as the Nisim B'chol Yom prayers that we did before try to teach us in the prayer service, that during this moment of prayer and worship, we need to take a moment to really give thanks and be grateful for the things that we do have. This prayer is exactly that. It's a really, really wonderful prayer, and I urge you, I'm going to ask you to do it together as a community, because I want you to focus on the words. In most places, I'm going to be honest with you, you know this, a lot of times you just go to a service and you just tune out, or you just do these things by rote. But every once in a while, you really, really need to focus on the words that you're praying. This is one of those prayers. It's a fascinating prayer. So look at these words. It's going to begin for the expanding grandeur of creation. Yeah, I will. And this is a theme, by the way, that's going to come right out of the Torah portion, because it's Breshit. More about that later. Page 332. Page 332. I'm going to continue to the next page, so let's do this together. For the expanding grandeur of creation, worlds known and unknown, galaxies beyond galaxies, filling us with awe and challenging our imagination, modim anachnu lach, which means we give thanks. For this fragile planet Earth, its times and tides, its sunsets and seasons, modim anachnu lach. For the joy of human life, its wonders and surprises, its hopes and achievements, modim anachnu lach. For human community, our common past and future hope, our oneness transcending all separation, our capacity to work for peace and justice in the midst of hostility and oppression, modim anachnu lach. For high hopes and noble causes, for faith without fanaticism, for understanding of views not shared, right out of the headlines, modim anachnu lach. for all who have labored and suffered for a fairer world, who have lived so that others might live in dignity and in freedom, modim anachnu lach, for human liberties and sacred rights, for opportunities to change and grow, to affirm and choose, modim anachnu lach. We pray that we may live not by our fears, but by our hopes. Great line. Not by our words, but by our deeds. Baruch atah Adonai, hato shimcha, ulecha na'eh lehodot, which means basically, creator of good, we give thanks. It's a great, great prayer. Focus on this. Words, we need it. We need this prayer right now. Page 334. A few moments of personal prayer. Our service is going to continue on page 363 with the Seder Kriyat Torah, the Torah service for this Shabbat morning. As we prepare to take the scroll out of the ark, we like to call up those people giving the honor of opening the ark: William, Carrie Ann, Hannah, Michelle, and Maya. And for those people participating in the chain of tradition, the passing of the scroll: Gary, Paula, James, Amy, and Rachel. We ask you to please come forward now. Ask you to please rise. Page 363. Assemble now the people, men, women, and children, and the strangers in your cities, to hear, to learn, and to revere Adonai your God, to observe faithfully the words of Torah, and let their children who do not yet know it hear, that they too may learn and revere Adonai your God. What we're going to do is I'm going to move you down next to the piano. Yeah, go. The shoes, man, it's the shoes. This tradition, which is copied now in many congregations, and you are witness to this. This is a very special moment in our tradition. Because you see, all the prayers that we've just prayed really focus on this one thing. And this one thing, this one reading we just did, assemble the people. Because if you look at the words, it's basically going to say, one of the ways that Judaism has survived for now 3,500 years, and in many times and in many places, we should not have. But we did. And in many ways, we are here and stronger than ever. But one of those ways is through this, and through exactly what you're going to see. That one generation, Ladur Vadur, one generation passes the traditions, the learnings, the teaching to the next generation. The challenge, of course, as most 13-year-old kids don't quite get yet, is that when they receive this scroll, and they perform the mitzvah that Rachel is about to perform, an entire history is being given to you. It's hard to understand that now. It really is. But this is really, as your Torah portion, and you will explain, is just the beginning. Just Bereshit. And so we literally will now, through the generations, pass this to you. And with it, as your parents just spoke, goes the hopes and the prayers and the wishes not only of your friends and your family, but in truth, Rachel, an entire Jewish world. Because literally, you will take this scroll, and the rest is really up to you. So, just like you practiced on Tuesday night, I'm going to introduce the Torah portion, okay? And then Cantor will be here with you to call people up. Okay. So give me. You may be seated. I could speak English, it would be helpful. Okay. You got this. Piece of cake. Okay, so we come now to the reading of the scroll. You're going to find this, if you want to follow along, page 18 in the big Torah commentaries, the Plout Torah commentaries, which should be in your pew. Okay, so this Torah portion is known to all of you, even if you didn't see the movie. Parasha Bereshit begins our yearly cycle of Torah readings. Those of you who were at synagogue for Simchat Torah, you saw that we began immediately after V'zot HaBracha, right into Bereshit. But this Shabbat focuses totally on Bereshit. This is a magnificent Torah portion. We could be here for days, but we're not, don't worry. Not only, it starts when Rachel's going to be reading from the beginning of the portion, our first story of creation. If you read through the English, if you know the Hebrew, you can follow it along as well. We have two stories of creation molded into one portion. The portion that Rachel's going to be reading is from the beginning. It's a priestly document. The passage that she's probably reading, probably because it's priestly, dates from somewhere in the 5th or 6th century BCE. The second story of creation, which is basically chapter 2, is much, much older. This also contains this passage, this portion, the whole portion, also contains the mythology of the Garden of Eden. This brilliant myth drawn from other stories. A lot of our early stories are drawn from Sumerian and pre-Hebrew traditions, even some of the words that Rachel will be reading. But in Genesis 3, which is probably the greatest chapter in the entire Torah, it's where the biblical authors confront the fact that we are immortal, that we're all going to die. And it's the tree of the knowledge of good and evil, and it has to do with knowledge. And then there's this another ethical conundrum in this portion that we're not going to have time to get, and that's Cain and Abel. When Cain kills his brother and gets away with it. In fact, if you read the story, he's rewarded. His family is rewarded. And it brings up all kinds of ethical and moral questions which we still grapple with today. That's why this Torah portion is really fantastic. But we're going to begin with the beginning. So you can follow along on your English on page 18, Parasha Bereshit, our story of creation. Vakasha.
We call for the honor of the first Aliyah, David and Diane Horowitz. David Yaakov Berechecha Rishona.
Baruch hu et Adonai HaBarak.
Baruch Adonai HaBarak L'olam Va'ed.
Baruch Adonai HaBarak L'olam Va'ed. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, asher bahar banu mikol ha'amim, v'natan lanu et Torato. Baruch atah Adonai noten ha'torah.
Amen. Let's give you a little more room.
Yeah. Perfect.
Okay.
Amen. Bereshit bara Elohim et hashamayim ve'et haaretz. V'haaretz hayeta tohu ba'avohu v'choshech al pnei techom. Beruach Elohim merachefet al panei hamayim. Vayomer Elohim hior vayhior.
Maybe that down. Right. Blessing after.
Asher natan lanu Torah emet, v'chaye olam nata b'tamkenu, Baruch atah Adonai, noten haTorah.
For the honor of the second Aliyah, we call up Paula Richmond, Gary Richmond, and Faith Fox.
Baruch Hu Adonai. Baruch Hu et Adonai Hamvara.
Baruch Adonai Havarach Vaed.
Baruch Adonai Hamvaret Omed. Baruch Ato Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher bochanu mikol hamim v'natalanu et Torato. Baruch Ato Adonai noten haTorah.
Amen.
Amen. Vayar Elohim et haor ki tov. Vayavdel Elohim ben haor uvein hachoshech. Vayikra Elohim laor yom bilachoshech kara laila. Vayhi erev vayhi voker yom echad. Vayomer Elohim Yehi rakia b'toch hamayim v'hi mavdil bein mayim lamayim.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher natan lanu Torah emet v'chayenu olam natan v'chochenu Baruch atah Adonai noten haTorah. Yes.
For the honor of the third Aliyah, we call up Rebecca Horowitz. Bela manabat Rucha Yirmiyahu Yonatan Ashlisha.
Rebecca, you got this.
Baruch et Adonai Hamvara.
Baruch Adonai Havarach Le'olam Vaed.
Baruch Adonai Havara Le'olam Vaed. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher barakar banu mikol ha'amim v'natan lanu et Torato. Baruch atah Adonai noten haTorah.
Amen.
Amen. Vayas Elohim et harakia vayavdel bein hamayim asher mitachat larakia uvein hamayim asher me'al larakia vayhi chen vayikra Elohim larakia shamayim Vayhi erev, vayhi voker, yom sheni. Vayomer Elohim, hikavu hamayim, mitachat hashamayim, el makam echad, v'tira'eh hayabasha, vayhi chen.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher natan lanu Torah emet v'kaye olam natan b'tohenu. Baruch atah Adonai noten haTorah.
And now for the honor of the fourth Aliyah, we call up Rachel's parents, Amy and James Horowitz. Rucha Yirmiyahu Yonatan B'Yisrael Arabiyah. We're right there.
Baruch et Adonai Hamvarach.
Baruch Adonai Hamvarach Le'olam Vaed.
Baruch
Baruch Adonai havarach le'olam va'ed. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam. Asher bachar banu mikol ha'amim. V'natan lanu et Torato. Baruch atah Adonai noten haTorah.
Amen.
Amen. Vayikra Elohim hayabasha eretz umikvei hamayim karayamim. Vayar Elohim ki tov. Vayomer Elohim tachei haaretz deshe esav mazriya zera etz pri. Oseh peri limino asher zarovo al haaretz. Vayhichen vatotze haaretz deshe esav mazriya zera liminehu ve'etz oseh peri asher zarovo liminehu. Vayar Elohim ki tov.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam. Asher natan lanu Torat emet. V'chayei olam nata b'dochenu. Baruch atah Adonai noten haTorah.
Amen. And now the moment we have all been waiting for, the moment where Rachel is called to the Torah and becomes a bat mitzvah, but you'll have to do blessings first, and first I'll call you.
Of course.
Namo, namo, namo. Please rise. Yisrael shana bat rucha v'yimiyahu yonatan habat mitzvah chazak chazak v'nit chazek. Can you do the blessing?
Baruch hu et Adonai hamvarach.
Baruch Adonai hamvarach le'olam va'ed.
Baruch Adonai hamvarach le'olam va'ed. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam. Asher bachar banu mikol ha'amim. V'natan lanu et Torato. Baruch atah Adonai noten haTorah.
Amen.
Amen. Vayhi erev, vayhi voker, yom shlishi. Vayomer Elohim, yehi me'arot, birkiya hashamayim, lehavdil, bein hayom uvein halayla, v'hayu le'otot, u'moadim, uyamim, v'shanim. V'hayu limarot birkiya hashamayim v'ha'ir al haaretz vayhichen. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher natan lanu Torah emet v'chayei olam nata b'tohenu. Baruch atah Adonai noten haTorah.
Amen. Simen tovu, mazel tovu, simen tovu, simen tovu, mazel tovu, simen tovu, simen tovu, mazel tovu, simen tovu.
It's a great temptation to stand up on this. Or no, leave it. No, leave it. She's going to need it.
She won't need it anymore.
Really?
Just for the
that's
Torah.
right. Oh. Excuse me, I'm going to move you over for a second. Thank you. Page 371. As is the custom in just about every congregation at this moment in the service, when the scroll is still out, a congregation offers prayers of healing. In our tradition, this blessing is called the Mishaberach, the English meaning me who Shaberach, who blesses. The tradition is that we offer prayers of healing for those who lie on the bed of illness, illness of the body, illness of the mind, illness of the soul. But I'd also ask you as we go through these prayers and as we sing the melody, to also remember in your prayers for not only for the people whose names we will mention, but remember also the people who take care of these people, their caregivers, who give of their time and much of their souls to hope, and we pray, shepherd people back to what we call in Hebrew a refuah shlema, a complete and total healing. So the Mishaberach is a very powerful piece of liturgy. It is to be taken very, very seriously. There are some who say that when a congregation prays in public and calls names, what does it matter? The reality is, and there's actually been studies about this, that people actually in some way understand that people are praying for them and for their recovery. And so we pray the following. Mishaberach avotenu v'imatenu. May the one who blessed our ancestors, Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, Sarah, Rebekah, Rachel, and Leah, bless and heal those who are ill. May the Blessed Holy One be filled with compassion for their health to be restored and their strength to be revived. May God swiftly send them a complete renewal of body and spirit as we say Amen. And we call to mind these from the congregational family of Adath Emmanuel on this Shabbat morning. Tom Wright, Janice Bate, Jordan Maverick Steinberg, Karen Hyman, Deanna Amarello, Carl Tarashi, Lisa Goldstein, Brian Zabel, Ed Crosby, Yehudit Bat Avraham Visara, Jonathan Bear, Myra Kaplan, Sarah Drasnin, Ron Fisher, Jeff Schaefer, Lulu Ravula, Marion Gewurtz, Aaron Tepper, Lily Tepper, Joan Major, Karen Bowen, Louis Alahut, Mary Parker, Barbara Cohn, Tricia Tepper, Carol Schaefer, Dr. Jerry Herman, Todd Poller, Mary Mednitsky, Jocelyn Jackson, Jen Jones, Shirley Freelander, Michael Infanti, Gary Garnick, Nick Bode, Ann Marsden, Rick Ulrich, Eliana Cohen, Claire Hirschman, Samuel Sonny Coleman. If there are any names that you would like to bring forward before we chant this melody, as we go through the congregation, I'd ask you to speak their name aloud to add to this body. Mishaberach.
Thank you.
As we continue in our service, we call for the honor of Hagbah, the lifting of the scroll, James and Amy Horowitz, and for the honor of holding the scroll, the Galila Rachel Horowitz. We ask you to please rise.
So with him on each side.
Vesot HaTorah asher Moshe livnei bnei Yisrael al pi Adonai b'yad Moshe. Eilech hamda libi, kusana v'yana titale. Meilech hamda libi, kusana v'yana titale. Eilech hamda libi, kusana v'yana titale. Eilech hamda libi, kusana v'yana titale. Rebecca. Eilech hamda libi, kusana v'yana titale. Eilech hamda libi, kusana v'yana titale.
You may be seated. Page 372. The ritual that we now perform is called Haftarah. This is a section from the prophets or the writings, the last two sections of the Bible, that in some way parallel what the Torah portion for the assigned week is. This has emerged out of Jewish tradition from a time when what we just did was very, very dangerous. So what rabbis did is they went through the second two-thirds of the Tanakh, the Bible, the prophets and the writings, and they looked for passages that in some way, shape, or form would parallel what the Torah portion for that particular week would be. So if you'll want to follow this in your Plout commentaries, you can go to page 320, because Rachel will be reading the Haftarah section for Parasha Breshit, which comes from the biblical prophet Isaiah, from chapter 42. Now, there are several prophets Isaiahs, and they've all been clumped together in one book. This particular Isaiah, called in our tradition in biblical criticism Deutero-Isaiah, second Isaiah, probably prophesied during the 7th century BCE, and most likely during the Babylonian exile. And the theme, if you look at the English as Rachel reads the Hebrew, the theme of this particular Haftarah portion is trust and faith in God. It comes from a particular challenging period of the exile when Judaism totally was restructured. The Judaism that emerged out of the Babylonian exile was totally different than the Judaism before the Babylonian exile. That's another story for another time. So we turn now to Haftarah for Parasha Breshit from the prophet Isaiah.
My Haftorah portion comes from the book of Isaiah. Isaiah was a prophet that spoke using God's voice, explaining things in a more personal and intimate way. Isaiah talked about the role that God played in creation. He explained that God created the heavens and earth and all that grew in it. Isaiah also explained that God was the one who created covenant people who should always keep their eyes open to the spirit of Torah. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher bachar b'nvi'im tovim v'ratzah b'divrehem hana'emarim be'emet Baruch atah Adonai habocher basara Uv Moshe Avdo, Uv Yisrael Amo, Uvin V'yei Ha'emet Bad Tzedek. Ko Amar Ha'el Adonai, Borei Hashamayim, V'noteihem Roka ha'aretz V'tze'etzaecha Notei neshama La'am aleha V'ruach l'holchim ba Ani Adonai Kiraticha v'tzedek v'yachzek v'yadecha v'etzarcha v'etencha livrit am v'orgoim liv koach einayin ivrot v'hotzi mimasker Asir mi beit kala yoshvei choshech Ani Adonai hu shemi uchvodi le'acher lo etain utilati lipsilim Harishanot Hineva'u B'chadashot Ani Magid B'terem Titzmachna Ashmiya Etchem Baruch Atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam Tzor kol ha'olamim Tzadik b'chol hazarot Ha'el ha'ne'eman Ha'omer ve'oseh Ha'mdaber u'mkayim She'kol devra emet v'tzedek Al ha'torah V'al ha'avodah V'al ha'ni'im V'ayom ha'shabbat hazeh Shenatata lanu Adonai Eloheinu Likdishav limnecha L'chavod ultifaret Al hakol Adonai Eloheinu Anachnu modim lach Uvarchim otah Yitbarach shimcha Befi chol chai tamid L'olam va'ed Baruch atah Adonai Mekadesh HaShabbat Shabbat Shalom. Reading from the Torah is an honor, and it gave me the opportunity to become a bat mitzvah. There are 5 books of Torah. I read from Genesis, the first book. Within the book of Genesis, I read about Bereshit, how God created the heavens and earth and all living creatures. It took God 7 days to create all of this. On the first day, God created light. On the second day, God separated the waters and created the sky. On the third day, the creation of dry land, seas, plants, and trees were formed. On the fourth day, the sun, moon, and stars were created. Creatures that live in the sea and creatures that fly were created on the fifth day. On the sixth day, animals that live on land and finally humans made in God's image were created. God said to all living creatures to be fruitful and multiply. The seventh day became a special holy day, which is called Shabbat. God finished his work of creation and rested. Today, my bat mitzvah is on Shabbat. In my Torah portion, God was trying to explain that he created the world for humans beings to take care of it. It was given by God as a gift. The Torah explains that only one God existed and created the world. God explained that the role and the responsibility of human beings. Humans were able to be carefree, but because they sinned, God gave them a punishment to take care of the world on their own. Today, we are lucky to have advanced technology. We can warm our homes from the cold and cool them off when it's hot. We improve our lives with new technology and industrial power. During Tu B'Shvat, the new year for planting trees, many Jewish people plant a tree. Unfortunately, we also pollute the air we breathe, the water we drink, and the land we live on. Trees and plants are cut down to build homes, malls, and other things. Also, global warming has been recognized a lot more now than in the past. It is important for human beings to continue to plant trees and provide oxygen through photosynthesis. Humans today need to work together to keep the world that God created from falling apart. For the past 8 months, I have been working very hard to prepare for this day. I have been very excited, nervous, and determined at the same time. Becoming a bat mitzvah is a great accomplishment and a great honor. I studied a lot and built up my confidence to say my prayers and read from the Torah. As a part of the bat mitzvah process, I created a mitzvah project. My family rescued 2 dogs, Phoebe and Bailey, from Officially Rescue Pets, a small dog and cat rescue. My dogs mean the world to me, and because of the rescue, I am very lucky to have them. I decided that I wanted to give back to the rescue by helping to raise money for items that pets being rescued needed before they can find good homes. I made homemade dog biscuits and sold them to my friends, family, and people living in my neighborhood. I also had a GoFundMe for people who wanted to donate but didn't have a dog and weren't going to buy dog biscuits. As of now, I've been able to raise about $900. 100% of the proceeds are going to the rescue. I love making the dog biscuits, and I am still selling them if anyone is interested. Trust me, the dogs love them, and people can eat them too. Not that I've eaten many. I would like to thank a few people for all of their help and support during my bat mitzvah training. First, I would like to thank Maura Leslie for being such a patient and awesome tutor. Though Rabbi Memes Fuller was unable to attend today, I wanted to thank her for guiding me through my Devar Torah. Thank you to Rabbi Address, who was able to step in at a moment's notice, and Cantor Sandy for all of her love and support, especially last year during teen night. Thank you to all my teachers who taught me about Judaism for many years, and Larry Marcus for guiding me during my Bima practice. I want to thank all my friends and family who came here today to celebrate with me. A big thanks goes out to my sister Rebecca for not interrupting me with her singing while I was practicing my Hebrew. And finally, I want to thank my mom and dad. Without you, I wouldn't be up here today. Thank you for all of your love and support and for always telling me that I could do this. I love you. Shabbat Shalom.
What would you like to do? You're supposed to go back to sit with your folks, but you want to sit with them? here? Go to Wawa? Okay. Deep breath. So, first of all, mazel tov. The most difficult, really, the most difficult part of bar bat mitzvah is, believe it or not, is not the Torah reading, because after 6 months or 7 months of working on this, it's locked in there. The most difficult and challenging part of this is really the ability to take the material that a young person has studied